John.
Hello.
Welcome to the Rory Gallagher Music Library. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks
How are you keeping?
Pretty good.
Can you talk to me a bit about the album Thistle and Thorn, which is scheduled for release in February, 1st February 2019?
Yeah, so new album coming out, Thistle and Thorn, as you said, released 1st of February, and it's an album that was recorded between just outside Clonakilty in West Cork and in Louisville in Kentucky when I was there in February. So it's a collection of 10 songs, and it's probably the most kind of sophisticated production that I've gone for in any of the kind of solo albums that I've made, and that there's, I suppose, string arrangements and just slightly more sophisticated playing in parts than there would have been previously. But yeah, it was a nice little adventure. I mean, I've been working with a studio in West Cork called Wavefield Recordings for the last 3 solo albums, and just had really good results, and as a result I keep going back, and I enjoy working with Brian Casey, the guy down there he does the kind of the engineering and the production down there. He's a fantastic musician, and we have a good working relationship, so I enjoy kind of heading down to him for kind of a week at a time just to do an album and head away and go about my business again. But this one, I suppose, was different in that I was able to do kind of, I suppose, almost 3/4 of it down in West Cork, and then a quarter of it was kind of done in the States. I was over in February. Culture Ireland approached me to go over to Kansas City as part of this kind of delegation, or kind of more of a bunch of half-cut musicians essentially, going to Folk Alliance in Kansas City to just play these kind of showcase gigs at this event. So I had gone that far, so I decided I'd pay a visit to some friends in Louisville in Kentucky. So I have friends there, a lady called Joan Shelley, who's an incredible singer and songwriter, and a guy called Nathan Salzberg, who's one of my favourite finger-picking acoustic guitar players, and he's also curator of the Alan Lomax Foundation, for the Alan Lomax Foundation. So I was just going there to hang out with them, and then I was like, why not try and get them involved in the recording? And I asked them, and they very kindly agreed to take part and to be involved in it. So we spent a day in a studio there as well, and we recorded kind of the acoustic guitar and the 2 acoustic guitar parts and the vocal parts and some organs and pianos and stuff for 3 more songs. And so I came back to Ireland and put the finishing touches to what had begun, I suppose, those 3 pieces that had begun in Louisville, and finished them off down in West Cork. Yeah, so it kind of feels like a nice little journey, the whole thing, and it was still, I enjoy to make albums in a very concise manner, in that I don't like things to drag on because I'm incredibly impatient. And when things kind of drag on for too long, I start to lose interest in them, or I start thinking they're crap. So it's just kind of, if things drag on, I start going like, no, I don't like that anymore. I have to be able to put a line underneath it and start the next thing as soon as possible. So.
Yeah. It seems really quickly that you've done this really quickly after Catharsis.
Yeah.
So you're bursting with creativity, obviously, are you?
Bursting with something probably, but I actually looked it up this morning, funnily enough. But tomorrow Catharsis is out 12 months.
Yeah. Which
is great. But the idea for me is that I'm not some big time musician who can travel the country and the world playing to 1,000 people in every venue I go into. The venues I play in are kind of 60 to 120, and that's what I will play in Ireland, in the UK, in Holland, Belgium, in Germany. That's what I'll do, and that's my bread and butter. I'm not going to be able to make a living if I release 1 album every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Because I have a relatively small base of people who are willing to invest or purchase my art, and therefore I need to do it on a more regular basis in order to pay my rent, in order to have the good life that I have. And the other side of it is that I enjoy it. It's a process that I just get a great kick out of. Like the process of writing songs is something that for me that tends to happen in a flurry. I'll start off and I might kind of slowly write one or two pieces and then kind of put them in the notebook and record them on the memo on my phone, and I'll just leave them there to kind of dwell and ferment for a little while, and then I suppose when I end up getting my next patch of free time, I'll already have developed this theme for the overriding piece for the album. Will be developed from either those 2 or 3 songs that I had written in the initial burst, and from that will come the next 7 or 8 songs that'll become the collection of the album, I guess. It's kind of developing a theme and thinking of the language that you want to use, and kind of the style of guitar you'd like to play. Like for me recently, a lot of it has come from finding melody on guitar as opposed to picking it out of the air in voice. You know, it's kind of, I tend to be able to find things a little bit more interesting.
So is the guitar initiating the whole creative process?
It has been for a lot of this solo stuff, yeah. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of your solo, obviously now, but do you miss the rats?
Sometimes. I mean, you miss the
Crack.
the camaraderie. Yeah. I mean, it was like a touring party.
Yeah.
Essentially, like you just kind of go away for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden you come back and you're like, what the hell just happened? You know. But it was great fun, and it was unbelievable to be able to tour 5 of your best buddies, you know. And it's still the reality of it is that it's quite simply not viable for a 6-piece or a 5-piece band to tour at the level that we were at, without you know.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Yeah, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Just everyone has to have a life, and everyone's getting a little bit older and wiser and less willing to party as well. So it's kind of part of it.
Salt in the Water, I love that song. It's a beautiful song, but it won. It was nominated for the International Folk Music Awards. That must be a great feeling, except for validating everything. Yeah,
it was cool. Validating everything is another side of things that is unrelated to being nominated for anything. Being nominated for stuff is a handy tagline to put on a poster or put in a press release, essentially, and it's a means by which to get another gig. It's a means by which to sell a couple of albums. You know, it's, if you begin to take too much of that stuff to heart and you start believing your own bullshit, and it's not like I have a hell of a lot of bullshit to believe either, that's like, it's like one small little thing, you know. But if you start to buy into all that, you're on a pretty slippery slope to developing what we in Cork affectionately refer to as notions.
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous thing.
Do you prefer, in your craft you've got recording, performing and writing, what do you prefer? What are you most comfortable with, what do you love the most?
Obviously there's a grow for every aspect of it. I wouldn't do it otherwise. The performance is definitely the most fun, and it's the one I'm most comfortable with. And it's like, I think anyone is going to respond to the immediate reaction of an audience. Everyone's going to choose that over anything else, really, aren't they? Any human being, if someone tells you you do something and someone immediately tells you that was brilliant, you know, you're immediately going to love that aspect of your work, aren't you? You know, I don't know, no matter how strong you are or whatever, you're still going to engage with that part of it the best. But I do enjoy it most because it's a very different form of expression, in that you can be a bit more loud and a bit more brash, and you can have a joke, you can have a laugh, you know, you get to meet people as well. I mean, writing is a very insular, isolated part of the process, and that's part of everyone's character, and it's part of something I enjoy a lot of the time as well. Sometimes I don't want to see people, you know. It's kind of and sometimes you do. The recording then is like, it's very enjoyable, but I also can find it to be kind of torturous to a certain extent. I'm not one that would be into doing things to make them perfect, in a sense. I am very comfortable with my own flaws and my ability to make mistakes.
That's good.
and kind of, I suppose, to some extent I've engaged with that in the recording process. But I do find it difficult. Just sometimes I find it difficult to record. Sometimes it can be a bit stressy.
After listening to Cut the Light and then Catharsis directly after, I find there's quite contrast of maybe upbeat and more melancholic. I mean, that was probably a lot to do with the circumstances of writing Catharsis.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, I guess Cut the Light was written kind of over a period of probably about 3 or 4 months, and it was just me after realising that, you know, I'd always done some amount of finger picking on the guitar, but it was then I realised, oh wait, like if I just do this with my thumb and I play the melody with my 2 fingers, I can just be the whole band and I don't have to pay anyone, you know. So it was just, that was the realisation of that, and kind of just writing using finger style as opposed to trying to destroy the guitar by hitting it as hard as you possibly could was, you know, a revelation. And that's where Cut the Light came from. And there's kind of still an element of a band on that. It's Davey Ryan and Brian Hassett are on it as well, and Brian Casey, the producer, plays piano and electric guitars on it. And then the following one, Catharsis, was just that. It was just an expression of trying to get something out of my system. In February of last year, 2017, I was ill for about 2 months with some viral thing, but I was in and out of hospital for those 2 months, and on kind of a few of the extended stays there, I had my father just bring the guitar in and put it on the stand next to the bed, and would pick it up and just practice and noodle and play away whenever I felt up to it. And it ended up giving me a focus where I was kind of, you know, you'd just be fooling around and you come up with this little melody part or something, and from there the song came from it, and all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, I've kind of done like 2 or 3 songs, you know. And then it was like part of my brain just went, yeah, let's just do another like 6 or 7 and let's see what happens. Like, and then I got out of hospital and I was starting to feel better, and about 3 weeks after that I booked in to go down and record it, and recorded the whole thing in actually in 2 days, which is kind of mental. But it's not a particularly sophisticated production, I suppose, in a sense, in that it's really just acoustic guitar, vocal, and piano and organ is all that's on it.
It's beautiful, like the simplicity of it, and
yeah.
The tone and everything, you know. So
yeah, it's pretty depressing, organ, isn't it?
No, I
it's
don't.
It's a good one, folks. Go get it.
Tell me, you know, because you're living the life of somebody who's making an income from your passion.
Yeah.
That should be a brilliant thing. Obviously, it can be difficult as well with the bobs and stuff. But what's it like for you as a musician? What's life like as a musician?
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make you very happy.
Really, really happy. Yeah. My life is like, I also do I do 7 hours teaching a week now as well, which is kind of a new thing in my life over the last kind of 2.5 years. Just kids guitar lessons, and it's fun, and it makes me enjoy playing music even more because I'm not with them. But but no, it's great. It's just, I mean, it's just a nice way to live, you know. And I end up being away from home, I suppose, a fair bit, which isn't ideal all the time, but the majority of the time it's great fun. You get up whenever you want, which generally, because I'm old now and I can't sleep, means like 9:30. It used to mean like 3 o'clock in the day, but
and if you had never, I remember you like as a young fella, you know, going off then to CSN and then studying in UL music. If you hadn't gone down that road, what do you think you would have ended up doing? Is there anything in your mind now?
No, I'm not sure I'd be doing anything. Yeah, I think if I ended up in a 9-to-5er, I wouldn't be a particularly happy man. I'm not sure how long that would have lasted. I literally wouldn't be able to cut it, I don't think. I wouldn't be good at it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Tell me, what's your favourite album of all time?
It changes, I guess. the one that's been a favourite for the last kind of year and a half is an album called LA Turnaround by Bert Jansch, which I found out recently was actually produced by Mikey from the Monkees, which is kind of funny. But that's a really, really good one. There's a guy called Riley Walker with an album called Primrose Green. Nick Jones, Penguin Eggs. There's loads, you know. It's
so but there isn't any one album that you'll always go to since you were young, still young, but from the early days.
No.
Not particularly.
No.
So who would be your favourite female folk artist?
My favourite female folk singer definitely is actually playing in Cork on Sunday in Collins, and her name is Joan Shelley. She's the lady that sang on the record for me in Kentucky, and she's like incredible. Yeah. My favourite Irish female, I suppose, folk artist, mostly because she's great fun and she's an incredible performer, is a lady called Pauline Scanlon. And she's just great crack and deadly singer. And, yeah.
Brilliant. Tell me a bit about, you have an Irish Sheen guitar there, which is fantastic. It's great to see that. And I think it's brilliant that you'd support a local luthier. Yeah. And he definitely deserves the endorsement. What are you up to lately? You're doing a duet together, eh? Yeah,
myself and Ari did a bunch of gigs. We just did 3 of them, and it was we did one in Collins, one in Kilkenny, and then we did the Clonakilty Guitar Festival, and it was the idea was pretty simple. It's essentially just playing my songs but with 2 guitars kind of in harmony for sections of the songs arranged in that way. And but I suppose it came about because I've been up and down. I got to know Ari when he was doing the guitar building in the basement of Crowley's when I was working there, when you had it. Yeah, we had it, yeah. But I got to know him then, and then I would have been up and down to him getting repairs and stuff done for, I suppose, a couple of years or whatever. And he was like, what do you like about the guitar you have? And I used to play Guild guitars for years because they were cheap and they were really hard to break.
Yeah.
So, which is a good reason. But I was using them for years, and I liked certain aspects of them and liked certain aspects of different guitars. And it was we designed this guitar that I have here to be kind of a culmination of what I liked about each one. And there's a second one which is kind of a hybrid of that again, I suppose. And it's just like, I've just been going up and down to him, and he was like, okay, let's make a guitar. And I was like, yeah, let's make a guitar. So I was pretty excited about it. I mean, I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to equipment. You know, I'll happily spend my day looking at like wood or pickups or guitar pedals or leads or something ridiculous online or in a shop. If I go away abroad, it's not a case of going to the local tourist site, it's a case of finding the local acoustic guitar shop and figuring out what they have in this country or this part of the world. And it's a horrific addiction.
Passion, yeah. I'm going to ask anybody like to ask a question from the audience. Kevin, you?
Yeah, Johnny, we're talking about your songwriting process.
Yeah.
If you get dry, or if inspiration doesn't come, have you got ways of trying to bring it on?
It's because over the last number of years, because I've kind of exercised that muscle so frequently, as in I didn't really stop, that I always have a continual level of, even if they're not songs or even if they're not even a fifth of a song, it's an idea recorded on my phone. Every time I think of an idea, I record it into a memo, and there's that little bit of melody there that you might not even use that in the song, but it could instigate something further in the process. At the moment, it's funny because I have the next album is out on the 1st of February. The album for after that, another 10 songs, is actually recorded and mixed and is waiting to be mastered. But I don't like, speaking of getting dry, I don't like to stop because I'm worried that if the potential for it to stop exists then. At the moment, I have 3 songs written for another project or another collection of songs, and I haven't written anything in about 2.5 months, and that's a long stint for me. And I actually had a full day off yesterday, and I spent the whole day sitting down trying to eke out a couple of those ideas a little bit further. So on the memo, I actually spent the morning on Wednesday morning going I was lying in bed in my office, and I was flicking through the memos on my phone, finding all the good ideas and saying good idea number 1, good idea number 2, changing them all, and saving them all in that way, just so as I have it when I start to get worried.
Brilliant. And Martin, would you like to ask John a question?
Sure, yeah. Hey John, I've seen you there now a few times over the last few years, and the last one there I think was the Doolin Folk Festival.
Oh yeah,
brilliant.
brilliant.
It was a mighty gig.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask you, do you have any personal favourites, any kind of gig that really stands out for you, some festival or anything like that over the years that really that stands out in your mind?
Probably. Doolin was really good fun because I kind of felt as though I had put myself slightly up against it by having too much fun the night before. And I arrived in kind of heavily caffeinated, trying to straighten myself out, and as a result of that and the gin, the shakes occurred, and I didn't really expect there to be very many people in the room on that particular afternoon, and all of a sudden I looked up and it was rammed, and I was just like, oh shit. Thought I was going to be playing on my own, kind of, soothing myself. But it was great. That was a really lovely experience because I didn't expect it. Other than that, it's always a pleasure to play in Collins, just because it's kind of like home to me, and there's good rapport with the audience, we'll call it, otherwise known as bullying. But no, it's Kilkenny's always nice to play. The Roots Festival up there has always been really good to me, and when we played in the Rats, Germany's an incredible place to go to. It's amazing to be able to go to another country and somehow people still turn up to your show, and you're just like, I'm not fully sure this happened, but it's probably something to do with like Mark Zuckerberg or something. And yeah.
You're doing very well in Germany, actually, aren't you, really, relatively?
Yeah. I'll do better in Germany than I will do here. Yeah. Generally, which is nice.
Do you think we don't appreciate the musicians enough?
No, not at all.
No, we do appreciate.
You do, yeah. No, it's just a bigger place. Like the thing with Germany is you can go there for 2 weeks. You can wake up from playing the gig the night before to however many people you played to, as I said, small enough audiences, 60 to 100, 120, and you can drive an hour and a half down the road and all of a sudden there's another 2 million people. You know, the territory itself is big, but the population is very, very dense. So it's easy to travel there and play to different people. You can do, like in Ireland, I suppose, when an act comes to Ireland from abroad, they'll do maximum kind of 4 shows. They'll do Belfast, Dublin, Cork, Galway. If an Irish person does a tour in Ireland, you might be able to eke out over the 12 months, like you might be able to eke out kind of 12 to 15 gigs, kind of, like obviously you could do more, like, but that's what would be reasonable, I suppose. Whereas if you go to Germany, you could probably do 60 gigs in a year or 70 gigs in a year, because like you fly into Dusseldorf, you immediately have like Cologne, Dusseldorf, Dortmund, you know, like just loads and loads of places in such a small area, and well, you know, not small, but like,
but they buy
not that big.
They buy the CDs as well, don't they?
Yeah, they buy CDs and vinyl and badges and T-shirts and your sweaty shirts, everything. They'll take them. So.
Trevor, would you like to ask John a question?
Do you find that, you know, when you're playing the songs, do you find that they take shape a bit more when you're playing? You know, as you're playing, you could even be a mistake, and next thing, oh, that's cool, like. And
yeah, sometimes.
Or do you stick to that format of just, I'm going to stick to that song?
It'd be cool if I said that, no, it's all improv, man, but...
you wouldn't make mistakes, you know?
Yeah, no. But it'd be cool if I said there was a heavily improvised element to it, but there's not, unfortunately. I wouldn't be able for it. I kind of need to make myself as bulletproof as possible, I guess,
Yeah.
when I go up there, because I try to eliminate as many variables as possible from performance, which sounds so uncool. You know, like that's like you wouldn't get that out of Rory Gallagher or Jimi Hendrix or Bert Janssen or anyone. You know, it's kind of, they're like, I just go up there and make it up, man. You know, but I don't have that in me, unfortunately, and that's not a cool thing to admit. But there you go. I like to have things as set as possible, so as I can perform and make people enjoy themselves. And that's a big part of it for me. I'm not there to noodle for an hour and a half. I'm there to play my songs and, to be honest, entertain, which sounds cheap as well, isn't it? But you know, it's like I heard a quote recently, there's a big difference between art and entertainment, you know, and it's kind of, and it's trying to make the two mix is the thing.
But do you suffer from nerves now, John?
Not particularly, no. There'll be the odd occasion, for some reason, something will get to you and you'll get the shakes, but it's only just ever in my hands, which is very unfortunate. But no, generally I'm pretty good. I used to, when I was a lot younger, it used to affect me kind of physically more than anything. It'd be like, you know, yeah, no, I wouldn't get overly concerned or shaken anymore. I kind of, you know, sometimes you do. It just depends.
Yeah.
And it could be anything. Anything could trigger it. Like.
Would anybody else like to ask a question?
John?
Yeah.
This is where things get dirty now.
Go ahead.
No, but the rats.
Yeah.
Like, you labelled them Americana, as country, I suppose, and even the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
But, like, to my mind, you're kind of gone 70s English folk now.
Yeah.
But had Riley Walker's Primrose Green any influence in that?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. I thought that album was such a bizarre thing to have come out on what would be regarded as kind of a cool label. I think it's released on Dead Oceans. They're Canadian or American, it's the name of the record label. And I was like, this is such a strange thing. He's like, he sounds like John Martin, but he plays guitar like Bert Janssen. Like, and I was just like, this is mental. And really enjoyed that album. And then as a result of that, I started digging back. So that was, I think that was like 2014 or 2015 that album came out, I think. But I started going backwards from there and ended up discovering a load of Bert Janssen records up in Mother Jones flea market, so I had to go in and buy a record player as well. but I suppose it did. Yeah, and you're dead right. I mean, like, the thing with the Rats was that I'd be quite able to make a decision, like I'd be quite decisive, but at the same time it's like one album was like this Americana alt country thing, the next one was like borderline psychedelic thing. I don't really know what you call it, like Borders. Like, I loved the album, but I don't know what it was, that kind of way. And then it went on to the Cutting Room Floor, which was literally that, just a collection of junk that I tried to sell to you. And and then Cut the Light and Guitar System were a lot more defined in what they were, I suppose, in the next one, similarly. But yeah, it's just...
It's part of maturing anyway, I suppose,
yeah,
as an artist. And
yeah.
Do you find in England now, would you be veering more towards the folk clubs rather than where you used to play?
I'm doing my first proper, like, long tour in the UK next April, and there's like 3 folk clubs out of 12 gigs is what's booked in for it, and it's yeah, it's still kind of, some of them are still kind of like Americana-y promoters, or that kind of thing, Americana folk type promoters that I put in the gigs on. Not all folk clubs, but there is some, and I'm kind of happy to do that as well. You know, I kind of like that idea. Like, it's kind of, it's a nice thing to be involved in. And it's as well. It's like the rat in a nuclear holocaust. It's survived everything. You know what I mean? Like, folk is there. It's existed. It might be on a smaller scale than what it was. Like, but it's survived everything, so why not appreciate it and why not be involved in it? And it's sustainable, obviously. You know.
Thanks, Bernard. Anybody else like to ask him a question? No? They're all shy, John.
Sorry.
So tell me a bit about your plans. Obviously, with the album coming out in February, you're excited about that.
Yep.
And you've a lot of tours lined up, but today you're in the folk festival today.
Yep.
So we'll go short term first.
We what?
I'm
We'll go
thinking
short term first. Oh, yeah.
So what's happening anyway? You're playing in the Roundy tonight.
Yeah.
Folk festival, yeah. And so for next year, then, what would you be planning?
It's kind of all planned, so up until the middle of the year anyway. So the album's out the first in Ireland, and then it's out in April in Europe. And I have kind of like 12 or 14 dates around Ireland booked in sporadically over weekends and bits and pieces, because it's easy to do that in Ireland. Germany in February, I'm there for 2 weeks, and then back to the Irish stuff and go to a couple of weddings. And then April I'm pretty much away from the 4th until the end of the month, basically, between UK and Europe. And then May it's Belgium and Holland for a week. So
What's
It's
about
the-
Chris Drever as well?
Chris Drever opening up for a tour around Ireland for Chris Drever in October, just the end of this month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the first kind of from February through to May is going to be the busiest period I've ever had of performing. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'll have to figure out. I've learned to behave myself a little bit better, like when we were traveling around doing gigs, but like I'm going to have to figure out how to up that another step, I think, which is challenging.
Thanks a million, John. Will you play a few songs for us?
Yep, no problem.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Okay, so this is a new song called Hannah. That's going to be on the next album.
Give me water for my whiskey, for there's bitterness in me. Did not come here for your counsel, just a drink to sleep easy. And I'll do all that I can do to get back on you, Hannah. There's no champagne or chandeliers when my working day is done. Just a cold bed in some old hotel, after all my songs are sung. And I'll do all that I can do to get back home to you. Yeah, I'll do all that I can do to come on home to you, Hannah. Oh, I'm so hungry and high. find a chance to rest again. Now do all that I can do to get back home to you. Yeah, I'll do all that I can do to come on home to you.
Thank you very much. So, just gonna tune up very quickly. My voice is a little bit woolly, I apologise. I'm only awake in a little while. It's a song called Lace. White as a lily, as fragile as lace, torn by the branches on your wedding day. She said I was, she said I was good for nothing. I disagree. Cold as the ice on the car's windscreen, frozen and cracking and torn at the seams. She said I was, she said I was good for nothing. I disagree. She was like the setting sun, and now the ground she lay upon, the shadows lengthen, disappear, 'cause that's all they can do. Wait by the corners to watch the cars pass, ribbons on bonnets and dresses to match. She said I was, she said I was good for nothing. I disagree. Hey. One more? One more, that's it. I'm feeling kind of weird.
Put you under pressure.
games. I will run my mouth around all the bars in town again. So let me drink till I'm full, and let me sing till I'm sore. The ashtray says I've been here too long, but my glass still overflown. I will smoke till the clouds have filled the room, till my weary pains are gone. So let me drink till I'm full, and let me sing till I'm sore. I know this is no life, but it's mine. So let me lay my head on the bar a while, for my bed's too far to roam. It is empty now that she is gone, and my house it is no home. So let me drink till I'm full, and let me sing till I'm sore. I know this is no life, but it's mine.
Cheers.
Finished, definitely.
Done?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
But we want to say more, like.
I'm done now.
Thanks, guys.